Game Changer Stage 2 NA presented by Verizon. We're in the lower round 3, and it's another incredibly fake comeback. Shopify Rebellion just barely avoid overtime in map number 2 of Fracture. I'm Mimi, joined again by Bach and Sapphire on the desk here. And Bach, we came into this one, and you had some questions about the composition for Shopify Rebellion with this Neon in the mix, and well, it got way too close at the end. It started off as a really dominant game for them.
It did. They definitely looked pretty composed on the map overall. I would say that this is definitely a map that's more in their wheelhouse. Did they answer my questions or concerns about the Neon comp? Not necessarily. I feel like it was serviceable. I don't think it was bad. It's just, again, I'm like waiting for a team to really wow me. And I feel like a lot of teams on this map, and I even went back and checked a lot of the data, the attacking side where you would anticipate maybe a little bit more strength from Neon is actually a lot of the players' weak spots. It's the defense where things really pick up for Neon. And you actually could see that if you watch this game as Sonder switched over to the defensive side, felt more like structured around the Neon. I think the fault lines and the flashes work out a little bit nicer for some early aggression, but complexity stayed in it, and largely due to the work by Lace. Lace 29 and 17, 316 ACS. Pretty much backpacked the team for a bit, tried to pull them across the finish line. What a heartbreaking way for it to end. Almost Complexity going, yeah, you thought you could fake comeback. Well, check us out. They're like, we can do it even better. 13-11. A brutal way to lose, but a great way for Shopify Rebellion to get themselves back into the game.
Yeah, Shopify's got to feel like great after this. I mean, it's just they almost let it slip. But like, I know they're going to be hyped. I know they're in boot camp. They're getting hyped right now, getting ready for the third map. Whereas, you know, Complexity, I think, I don't know, it felt good, but they lost it in the end. Again, Lace just played so incredibly well, and that's the consistent player we expect out of this veteran of the team. It's going to be really interesting as we go into this final map.
Yeah, it is going to be a really interesting one. This series has been so back and forth thus far. But one player that we always know to be a constant for Shopify, and again stepped up here, was Flowerful on that Cypher role. She was pivotal on this Fracture map to help Shopify close this game out, winning that final clutch.
One of the things we talked about coming into the map is maybe the viability of Cypher versus Killjoy, and how Cypher maybe makes things a little bit more comfortable. You're not locked into a position with your utility, so you can kind of float the map a little bit better. Certainly helps on both sides of the map, and we could see how Flowerful was able to use that maybe a little bit better, get themselves into better positions, and ultimately was a strong and powerful punch for Shopify Rebellion, just what they needed when they needed it most. You can see the stats: 253 ACS, 22 kills, a 1.6 KD. Strong performance, sure. 7 multi-kill rounds, what you don't see here on the board. I think the most interesting stat line of this whole game, though, was like the overwhelmingly low number of defuses. You know, despite all of the plants, the spike was only defused 3 times. Both teams playing really well in their post plant to prevent the spike from being defused to begin with.
Yeah, and you know, I think Flowerful, as we said, is just like a consistent player. Like her positioning, I was always impressed by. There's nothing necessarily flashy about it compared to, you know, Sonder pushing sites, making, you know, a lot of space with those walls. Like, just really good positioning from Flowerful, and like you said, she steps up when the team needs it most.
These are the situations now where Shopify is going to have to dig deep, and that experience is going to have to come into play, because we're going all the way to map number 3, and the final map of this series will be Pearl. And Heather, as we were already discussing a little bit, Pearl is another one of these maps that looks pretty good for Shopify.
It does. Historically, they've done really well at it. They play it quite often. It's usually quite a dominant performance, and one where we see a lot of success from Sonder on that raise. That being said, this is the rematch of the upper bracket round 1, and it's the map that the Complexity did win on. They won this 13-9. They've got to be feeling good about that. But you know, and then Shopify just said that KP had said they were just off that day. They weren't playing themselves. So normally we expect a really strong performance from Shopify and Pearl.
I mean, here's the reality of the situation for this Complexity team too. We were just talking about Neon viability and whether or not it works out so well. If I'm not mistaken, this is a map they run the Neon on. So we'll be interested to see if it works out equally as well for them as it did previously for Shopify Rebellion on that last map. because of the fact that now there's all of that added pressure. You know, it's not just another map. It's a map 3. It's elimination. It's a point to prove that you guys are maybe a little bit better than the last time. You guys are the number 2 team or the number 3 team in your region. You're trying to really sell a lot of storylines here coming into this match. It's not just about this match. It's about so much more for these players. Can they handle that amount of pressure, especially given that some of these players are young and thrust into positions they haven't been before? We've been talking about Jazzy taking over the role as IGL. That's a tough mantle to carry, and it's a new one for her. She's playing a role that usually doesn't facilitate that, playing the duelist as an IGL. How is that all going to come together in a third and final map where your opponent is already super comfortable as it is?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions and a lot of weight on these players. And you'd think that Shopify, given their experience, they've been in these lower brackets before. They've always had deep placements in Game Changers. This is where they thrive. But for Complexity, losing a super close map, this is the real test. And as Bach mentioned, Heather, Complexity are again trying something new. Shopify go to a pretty standard comp that we've seen a lot of across Challengers and Game Changers on Pearl. But Colt, they play this Neon Phoenix, which is really unique.
Yeah, I think so. I think they want to shake things up a bit. Gotta correct myself. I did not mean that they played Pearl last time. I meant the Complexity beat EG on this. But yeah, they're trying to do something different here, and I think you gotta respect that. They clearly like the fast pace. It really worked well for them on the first map. So changing out the pace here with the double duelists.
And even with the double duelist, you still have some post-plant setups because you have Asher, you've got Killjoy too, so it still gives you that sort of post-plant defensibility. You've even got a Molly should the Phoenix be alive at that point, looking at your attacking side. Defensively, you know, we'll see how they try to make these players work. We've been talking about it all throughout this. We've been talking about how do you play a Phoenix on the defensive side? How do you make it work best? Is it in connector? Is it over towards art? Is it on the A site? Complexity seems to have figured it out at least a little bit. Obviously, they had a big win over EG 13-8, but they've also had losses in the past on this map with this composition. We'll see how they're able to make it work.
Complexity here. They're really hedging it all on this interesting composition. A double duelist to try and complete this run. They've already made their deepest Game Changers run in the team's history, but they're going to try and make it into the top 3. Shopify trying to maintain the position that they've had in pretty much every Game Changers in history. We'll have to see how this one pans out on map number 3 of Pearl as we send things over to the casters, Vansili and Rivington.
Thank you so much, Mimi. Casters, and not only that, also Gaslighters. Just me, by the way, because I gaslit chat. I apologize. I thought that these two teams did play against each other before on Pearl, but they have not. But at least we have gotten some tape on them from both sides, too. So, you know, there's going to be some studying to be done for the coaches to get ready for this tiebreaker map. And finally, a chance to even experience that face-to-face, head-to-head in this tiebreaker series.
Yeah. Bringing out the Phoenix and the Neon to do so, you have to make a statement with that. Those aren't two agents that can sit back and do much. So, I mean, you're almost showing your hand to Shopify Rebellion here, and Shopify should be ready for off-the-rip plays with these two, or the round to go a bit, and then it to be an off-the-rip play. I don't see Race and Jazzykins walking into sites. So I expect this to be explosive. I said that before we ended our last map, getting into here. It looks like mid is going to be contested by Shopify Rebellion to start. And let's just see how they work the map on the extremities from the side of Complexity here to begin things out. So it will be interesting to watch to see how they use that in and out of the sites to get the post plants. We were looking for that last time with all the smokes we saw. And now we'll have it here.
Go, go, go.
Oh, they're trying to pinch B, but the spike's going A. Great distraction. Great misdirection.
And even the Astra, Subui's rotating in that area too. But at least if you could dwindle these numbers towards this B site, and you've done so. I mean, what a round there for Complexity to start. Spike's going to go down, and it's a 3 versus 1 on the A site.
Subui?
There you go. I think this is going to be a banger of a last map here as Lace moves now towards the tree, towards Art. And a rotate comes across from Saunders, so she hears the reload back from the flower pot. Saunders thinks it's towards long.
Yeah.
And Lace gets the kill.
I mean, that's one of the easy spots to think. It's planted, it kind of almost, oh, it wasn't in the cut. It was kind of just out of it, so. Intense first round of back and forth. This hit onto B, we usually don't see a hard fake round. I love that first round. I love any strategy that does that and kind of pits 3 people against the rest of the team on the other side of the site. Like, sign me up for any fake strats. Love it. Spike's down for this one. They're expecting something a little wild, but it's actually just going to be classics on the other side here. So Complexity should be able to clean this up. The Shopify looks to do a little damage here. Oh, wow, they're real passive.
Yeah. No real damage yet. I mean, you
also
have a shorty.
hiding from the 0 point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely it. Passive from Complexity. Doing the same thing as they did on the Haven, pretty much, right? We've seen them win the pistol, pull back, trying to figure out where a stack could be. Trailblazer clears out towards the A-long. Sabui's just waiting for her timing to get the smoke up so she can fight the shorty in the smoke. And of course, the same thing for Complexity or for anybody else running a Phoenix on this map. Control that A orb and get that ult up ASAP. And Raze at this point could play the range, pick up the ult for the next round, but that's the goal. And if the goal here for Shopify Rebellion is to even waste out a potential run it back early in round number 2, and that's a big dub with the lower buy that they have.
So they can hear the Killjoy utility for sure as they head in here.
Careful
They're
now.
gonna just molly it. That's cute.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, out towards dugout. Even we saw the stars being thrown towards the back, but it was avoided by Sabui, so the damage has been done. Raze here at low HP and forced to heal up with the blaze wall that they just threw up. So that being said, 3 kills coming in with these 3 players could definitely put up these frags with classics. Okay, we're pulling back for the heal. We're pulling even all the way across back.
Yeah.
So trying to stay alive here are the last 2 players. The Complexity got
Still
A-long.
mollies.
Exactly. There's that push forward. Right click classics. Still being won here by Shopify. And there's that backstab. Well done here towards the end. Well coordinated by Complexity.
Yes!
They turn around here and convert the pistol.
Gosh. So looking at the Phoenix in the sky here, like there is actually a lot of healing that they can do on faking a site, getting back a little bit of damage. Now they actually have run it back because of all the kills that they've been getting here on Raze so far. So that's kind of quick. And farming a few orbs or plants. So towards B, it looks like they may actually try to just run it back right down here along with Jazzykins going wild. Sticking with the stinger on the bonus. Again, waiting.
0 point.
Yeah.
Could be a big surprise here. The flash is deep. Now the body of one sticking out. Glory trying to dash away, and there's Jazzykins.
There's so much.
Getting that shot here. Really able onto the KO, but Stunner still whacks up 2 kills, and there you go. Finally, the hot hands from Raze back to run it back. Eliminates Sonder. So a great way to use this on their bonus round. And Stabui, KP, at least trying to stay alive towards this B site so the rest of Shopify Rebellion can rotate across. And thankfully, Lace is also only at 1 HP.
Whoa. Phoenix utility, perfect. Ooh, good trade.
Last player
Yeah, it was
standing.
perfect. The one that was lower HP was the one that was the bait. And now Kara's on a 2 versus 1. Tap it on a spike, trying to at least force out 1 player. It's only a star first.
Turret out.
Isolating kills, turrets out, long range shot from Sabui. Always thinking that Sabui is gonna rotate from the B link.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's even Shopify Rebellion with a better rotate back towards long.
So that B play is executed. This initial attack was so well orchestrated. They knew exactly what they wanted to do, but picked apart a little bit on the way down by Sonder. A really pivotal point of that round coming in from the KO to lessen the forces of Complexity that were eventually in the site. So we get to a fully gun here. I think, Lori? Yeah, just Guardians around. And Spike's going to be dropped for this round.
Pressure's trying to come back, though, with Shopify Rebellion stars. Yeah, Nebula and Nova Pulse. Jazzykins thought that she was going to get the orb here, but it's going to be Lace instead, so they could have the Seekers. This one may be a way to cut noise and split here towards this A site.
Shopify just hugging. Ready for an art play, ready for a long play here.
I've
They're
got
gonna
your
hear that.
trail.
All right. They may back off here seeing all these get taken out.
Exactly. Just depends what we have left, what we're seeing in the
going.
site. Out in the open, though, before the curveball comes out. Nice shot coming out from Raze. Jazzykin following up to support her teammate. As they amass on a one-player advantage. Complexity trying to move inside the site. Jazzy tapping onto the spike, too, trying to flush out their opponents. It works out. Firefall gets punished. Same thing for Sonder. It's up to KP on a solo play. The swing out from the left side of the smoke, and then drop from the dugout. Complexity fight right back in the gun round.
Listen up. Kill them before they kill us.
Just a second, like they got hit on the way in. Shopify Rebellion got what they wanted out of a delay. They said, okay, cool, we stopped the rush that would eventually be coming from this team. And then again, Complexity just off that rip for the second time. They get into sight, they slam it from different angles. A little bit of a variable there the first time we see them really just engaging
Quick
down
peeks
through
now.
art. And Raze again in the front. Jazzykins seems to be the secondary, and then the initiator utility over the top of both of them. And the way that Raze is clearing, it always seems like there's only two angles necessary to clear, right? When it goes long, it's back behind screen and then into hall. And then there, it's just to the left of art and just into sight. And it works really well with the pace that Raze is putting in with Jazzykins behind. See if they do the same thing again. Spike is dropped, so it seems like they're feeling out the map a little bit more. Maybe back to A. They like to... They've noticed that Shopify plays the backside of sight, so Complexity takes the front, and then they keep a few on stairs as almost Overwatch.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really seem like A is too hard for them to take each time. This, as well, being out of Nico.
Sort of also mentioned that where Complexity was also getting taken over by version 1, they were playing head-to-head on this map too, was the value that Alexis was getting on the KO to counter all that utility that you just mentioned with the amount of walls and the flashes you can have through these smokes. And these happen a lot on Shopify Rebellion's retakes. Should I say version 1's retakes. Shopify Rebellion right now is just looking for opportunities to fight before the plant even goes down. This time around, though, they had the perfect stack. Beautiful Hunter's Fury from KP.
Wait.
That allows her for her to get 2 kills, and it's a 2 versus 2.
Enemy remaining.
There it is, okay. I was like, they dropped a few weapons back there. This could get sketchy. KP still...
Fully flashed.
Safe?
And down.
Not that scary.
And
So yeah,
down.
I still feel here that Shopify Rebellion still has what it takes for these flood retakes with the util that they have, right? With the Sova, the knife, and the flashes that could come through for these retakes could be really, really strong. Just right now, we're as you can see, they're just trying to fight really aggressively, react to the pushes that Complexity is currently bringing towards the spawn. We haven't really tested out yet the capabilities of the retake of Shopify Rebellion.
Complexity recognizing there, I think, with their A hits and seeing KP at B, they avoid KP by going to A. They force a little bit of a retake without that initiator.
Cool.
Great trade.
Need that back.
Yeah, Sibui just kept walking behind. Where Jazzykins thought that because she got spotted, she was going to walk back, and she didn't. So a nice little bacon and instant rotate back from Complexity towards the B site.
That's a lot of pressure on Sibui there. Your controller peeking first. Awesome stuff to see. That's exactly what you need out of Shopify right now to bring these rounds back in their favor.
Find it. Here.
Cosmic Divide and a free movement from Complexity, but they don't have sight yet.
Run it back, no value. Got info on where KP was at. That smoke is going to make it a little bit more difficult here to try to hit the site. Nice little curveball coming out, though, but not effective with KP. What a way to play close to the smoke. A great way to counter as well. The curveball's coming out. Maybe you can react that way instead of playing with retake, too. I like what I saw from KP.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Like I said, they're avoiding KP right now. But playing it safe. I think what they have usually is an open back there, and everybody backs up. Complexity is expecting that retake, the initiator to dart over, but KP says, not this time. We're pushing up. Sibui from A and KP at B. Really good teamwork across the map there to throw Complexity for a loop. And now we see A little bit of mid control.
Some great mid control.
Yep.
Overdrive to try to answer back, and instantly we have some cloud bursts coming out from Lori to allow here the instant push to fall back. Ground gain from Jazzykins, looking for the backstab and the timing.
Running
Sonder just
low.
made it through back towards sewers.
Everybody
So now
doing
the
a
overdrive's
great
gonna
job
leave.
of hiding.
Yep. Got nothing left here but Vandal in the hands of Lace, the strongest weapon that you have here, but it's in the hands of a strong player so far.
What? Coming through.
Okay.
Gotta go.
Lori kind of caught there. Jazzykins picking up a weapon, clearing out towards long. KP missing the shot. Becomes a duel that KP still wins. Recon dart, nice beautiful flash, but moving forward here, allowing Sonder to get the
Spike
backstab.
down B.
Now Lace transfers to the top.
Oh my god.
It was close. Seekers are now coming up, picking up the other weapon behind.
I got this
20
spot.
bullets left in the chamber of the
Found
Phantom.
one.
The tap on the spike, the push towards Spawn.
30
Trying to get the timing off the turret,
One
coming up.
enemy remaining.
At least got one, but a little bit too late on the swing for that second. A valiant attempt, but it's still Shopify Rebellion.
Remember, your weapon is
That wins
only
the
a
round,
tool.
although it was expensive.
Yeah, what a spicy play at the end. What a good round. Shopify starting off well. Jazzy knowing she had to have a Mission Impossible like strategy and then a scramble to get the last few down here.
30 seconds left. One
Great
enemy
play.
remaining.
Good teamwork there by
Grenade.
Shopify Rebellion to keep the trades and the anchors going on. Because Lace was looking for blood there. All right. We're 3-4 now. We're finally getting a little distribution between these rounds. Nobody's getting carried away. No 7-0 to start here for anyone. This Pearl is going to be our decider. Ultimates are ready on the side of Shopify Rebellion and almost all on deck, the rest of them. It's going to be a big round here for Complexity if they can get through it. It's going to be everyone towards B. And I guess you're just going to leave Claudia back to hold on to that turret for a little bit. They've chosen
Spike
right.
dropped.
It's just how can
Yeah.
Shopify Rebellion play this to be safe?
I'm out
Your
of here.
recall turret, maybe, there you go. Once you get a little bit more control towards the pillars, so you can at least initiate the lockdown before the ultimate moves into a radius where you can't place it down. Now Blades are whiffing across, and KP
There.
tries to fight
Spike's
within the
down.
site. There is that null command coming out, but Jazzykins and Lace are holding a great crossfire. 36 seconds left on the clock. Lockdown still available for Claudia. Making sure nobody's flanking yet.
30
Could
seconds.
be placed any second now.
One enemy remaining.
Maybe not even
You
needed at
should
this
run.
point.
Recovering it.
This composition from Complexity can be so overwhelming. Like I said, if they can get through this round with all those ultimates up, that helps. And they didn't see too many in retaliation, right? But just absolutely putting their foot
10
down
seconds
to get through to B,
Spike
trading each
planted.
other on frags, still have 3 alive here. See if Sabui can do some work.
Not actually get spotted like that.
Wow. We're seeing that kind of stuff from both sides. Just perfect timings, right plays, good crossfires. Complexity finally gets another one for themselves. We get into round 9 here.
Placing
So
sentry.
KP has Hunter's Fury, Cosmic Divide, and Lockdown. I feel like the best option right now for Complexity would be hit and re-hit. If it has to be A or a B and then B again. See if they can pull one of these ultimates out and just scare Shopify Rebellion into making it. Oh, is that for B-Link?
I'm out of here.
Yeah, these are one of the things I like too. The recon darts being thrown by KP up towards long B. It gets instantly spotting to react right away. But if nobody was there, they could start pushing out forward into the pillars, especially with the Lori off if they want to use that later on. So keep that in mind here of how you're playing the Sova on this map on defense. If you see it pivot, if you see them pivot more towards
There.
this B-long at the
Yeah.
beginning.
There.
Come on. So, Complexity should be able to garrison the site. They just have to watch this flank coming in from Claudia on the late portion of it. They'll start to get flowerful now.
Wynell 2 off the spike plant. Actually still manages to get the hit. Now players are falling down, and that's exactly what they did the last time they had the Hunter's Fury. Just flood back here off the tap. and go for the engage. Spike now picked up and tapped. And thankfully, you're only working with pistols here, so you can't really get the real wall bang through the Raid boxes. As I say that, Raid's just got hit through the box by a Sheriff. Lori made it their way towards the back of the B site. Cosmic Divide now coming out, pinging out Raze. Raze tapping onto the Spiker, trying to, and gets dropped. Now there's only 20 seconds left. Running through. Need a swing up from somewhere. The updraft away. Swap towards the air by Kara. A second one from the air from Claudia. As she picks up the last kill, and that was another close round this time. That could have been in favor of Shopify Rebellion, as it's their turn to make it expensive against Claudia and company of Complexity.
Yeah, operator's gonna come out. You expect that to go B long? How do you? I mean, I wonder how the Neon, the Phoenix go out of long. How are you gonna shoot them if one's flying around and the other one's flashing you in the face? Lori's got her work cut out for her. And timeout from Complexity is gonna be called here. They did this the last time too, when they had their run to almost carry it up onto Fracture. They called the timeout after a successful amount of rounds, just a handful, just to give themselves a little bit more momentum. But also, it's giving Shopify time to talk here. Lace again having a fantastic game. KP's been able to lock down B. In the round that Shopify went aggressive was a round that Complexity did not like. They weren't able to really formulate another plan after losing one of their duelists right off the bat. And that's when Sabui pushed A, and KP had a pretty aggressive stance on B long.
Yeah. And that's it. The aggressive stance on B long was what I was trying to mention before here with the operator. Lori last round only had a Sheriff and armor. This time does have the operator. And it sort of was playing it towards this B site, but decides to pivot towards a different area. Still, you still use that recon dart for the same value. If there's no pressure happening towards that B long, well, you could have an indication that Complexity may be working towards this A site. And a knife and a flash and the Seeker's out early because Complexity wants to make sure there's no aggression coming out from Shopify. Becomes a split now into the streets.
Long hasn't made it yet. Jazzykins goes in though. They're timing this pretty well.
Oh!
Okay.
Well for a clothesline from KB towards Spawn. Beautiful flash on top of that too. And Sonder
Spike
is
down,
just
B.
tapping away behind the site. Advantage for Shopify. Spikes down out in the open,
Enemy
closing
remaining.
in for contact plays. Saunders still too strong from the back of the site. A first kill from Claudia into Spawn. The swing across does not work out. But heard the footsteps of all three, and an opportunity was there.
Yeah, that was close. Shopify say, no, not this time. KP is firing on all cylinders. Confident with the calls, confident with the shots, and I think it's extending to everybody else. Sonder, they're able to pick up just some tappy taps as they flew into the site, and that gets scary when Shopify starts showing you that type of control when they retake the site, and they really don't have the full squadron there. They're acting based on what Complexity is doing, not reacting, I should say, you know? A little proactivity. A little bit of a rush. Yeah. Connector, maybe. Stinger. Jazzykins
No matter
has
what,
one off all.
Exactly, but usually with this type of buy, you'll have to run it back. Especially with that, with our op shot missing, you have an opportunity here to try to fight back. Even a second op shot misses, and Raze gets the kill. Moving up towards Art, and there's an opportunity to reload around the corner. Support coming out, utility towards the dugout, and now Firefall's just pinned in the corner. Not being spotted yet, so still an opportunity to get something done here. There's that run it back to get that map and get that information. Wrapping all the way towards the back of the site here, trying to clear towards the back. Flash misses as KP denies that information from Raze, denies kills on top of that, and is up at 44 HP. Spike down towards Church, though, for Arc Control and towards Long. Flash coming out through the Cosmic Divide. Sonder cannot get a kill, but the advantage is still in the advantage of Complexity. Picked up by Claudia. Gets value out of that. A second one onto Sabui. Now here comes the third push. And it connects the hat trick.
Oh, Jazzykins.
He runs away for the save, and Jazzykins is there.
That was
What
embarrassing.
a nice force spike coming out from Complexity, and a flawless on top of that.
Last round before the switch.
Right after Shopify gets a win, too, so look at that money. Unfortunate on the reset. Complexity very happy about that. Even the chase down from Jazzykins Hunt, and it is going to be a low buy again here from Shopify Rebellion.
Last round.
Just to the ebb and the flow money, exactly. That's tough. Complexity is going to start off on this defensive half, most likely on an 8-4, but it would be huge for Complexity here. So let's see. They're playing it different all the way around the map, and they're going to start to push mid, starting off, see if they can get behind Complexity on this aggressive A.
Yeah, as they push mid, Complexity is just not actually being relentless towards the A long. Now forcing the early util out from the Killjoy. That's powerful with the first Nanoswarm, but still has a second one. Ult now being used out from Claudia. KP trying to get that backstab again. The lower buy that they have, and they're here right on the flank. There's that first kill. Now overdrive towards the back. They hear the Guardian ringing from the back of the site. That's Sabui. Chase down. Shot. There's that underhand flash, but Claudia was ready for that. The backstab is nullified. Lori, last player standing, trying to make it expensive. 2 flawlesses in a row. At least we end the half. The Complexity are back with their
Switching
flawless
sides.
run.
Yeah, starting those off is troublesome. It becomes the do or die half and silly. This is the elimination half on our best of 3. Pearl the decider. I'm excited to see what Shopify can do now because Complexity have a very aggressive team that works good on attack. If they're not retaking the sites as they were just taking the sites, I think this Complexity squad can fall flat with this agent comp.
Yeah.
So we'll see what Shopify can do here with the more default comp now running from attack. If they can sort out enough rounds to bring back the lead.
There's pings on streets, so an indication of something fairly quick. This Complexity has 3 players there. Knife recon very early, getting all of the control of middle. A little bit less towards the street, so it might be a push out from the back end to clear out sewers. All this, though, as they're trying to double swing outside of this smoke. And look at the pivot out for Complexity. Trying to take down the late lurk.
Yeah.
Called smoke. 2 players out there for Shopify Rebellion against 3 of Complexity. There's that first blood, and the second one drawn. Advantage for Complexity. There's a spike. It's planted for a spawn on the B site.
Good disbursement by Shopify here. They could catch Claudia.
Yeah, they're trying to do the same thing. Claudia's afraid of alert. Swinging out here after the knife gets thrown, and she knows especially that there's 2 players chasing down after her. Oh, gets her 1. That's perfect. Advantage now for Complexity to move inside the site. Jazzykins is clearing it out. Running forward. 1 enemy spotted towards the B link. They know the second one's towards the spawn. Pushing through. A little bit of a stun coming out. A flash, beautiful, but it blinds also the attack.
Enemy remaining.
There's a nice headshot from Jazzykins, and Kara with the last one. And Complexity comes back and allows even on top of that raise to get the defuse. And Complexity are well on their way to get the upset against Shopify Rebellion.
I think you had it right there. Claudia being able to get a trade in that with the classic. And this push, I think as soon as Complexity got the guiding light to trigger on streets there, they said, all right, they might be pushing through. There's less numbers, or at least numbers that belong. Let's fight that now. You called it. Check for the flank right away. Really smart play. And then they were able to play the site like they were taking it. They had the duelist. They still had Raze left and the flashes.
Force by curveball, pushing him back. Here are Complexity and Orb already picked up by Raze. And look at the fast pivot from Shopify. See the amount of util, they want to pivot back towards streets. Delayed a little bit, rather, by the Nanoswarm. There's less numbers for defense towards this B site.
Placing swarm grenade. I need it. Pulling them in.
Oh, it's going to be B.
It's gonna be B. Damn it, Riv. Why do you have to do that to me? Claudia in the back of the site. Pushed in here by KB. Got the dink. But the Stingers are actually not as strong up against Shopify Rebellion's buy. KB down to 5 HP. Raze trying to capitalize on the overextension from
3v3.
KB, but Lace is the one that picks it up. Definitely on his 3v3. Still utility available from Lace. Sauter only with the Sheriff towards the back of the site, and that Trailblazer is going to see so much. Ray's now moving forward. Big flash, blinding a few. There's that first sense. The 2 kills coming back from Shopify. The tap on the spike, the swing on the right side as Jazzykins has to move forward with the Spectre and a Nanoswarm underground. The second tap. There's that first spray. It's now a halfway. The swing across with the first kill. Sticking on to the second one. And Flarafel swings back out. And the force buy comes in favor of Shopify Rebellion as both teams now are in a low economy situation.
Yeah, that hurts. Too relevant. All right, here we go. Next round is going to be a tough one. There's a hero rifle on the board. I think we still get a few more rifles, but there is not going to be much armor behind them. Yes, we do. We get another Vandal and a Bulldog, and they are actually going to be able to suit up pretty well. So, favorite Shopify on this buy. They got to play the anti-eco here from Complexity, who's, again, probably going to look to be a little aggressive once they get the chance to. And Spike is down, letting us know the pace Shopify wants to take on this round. Just working around. Not too many ultimates to have here, so their focus is just to get the frags and source out who is playing where. It looks like they'll be able to avoid the Killjoy utility to start, though.
Yeah, and also tucked away our Complexity, pivoting around these smokes.
Yeah, 4 people. Oh, dear.
Timing this through with the curveball. There is that quad swing. 2 players now playing Aim Lab is Shopify Rebellion on the top of B-Long. All right, a couple of kills. It works out. Running back available for the next round. So a small dub here on the column of Complexity, but a bigger dub for Shopify as they move inside this B site and try to narrow this lead that Complexity currently has. Even on top of that, giving that spike over to Sabui so she could get her Cosmic Divide ASAP.
Claudia, they know there's a lurk. It's like, wait, Claudia? Okay, yeah, lurk. But look at this fight. You actually see the defense on the mini map that Complexity tried to put up. The X is just all up and down B-Long.
Turn out.
This is like due to fall back.
Firing
Out
range.
in the open for support for the teammates. Exactly there. Nothing to do with the Classic against 2 Vandals and a Guardian. Now 3 rounds away from tying things up. But that force buy that came in was good for that 1 round. Things are back to normal with both teams.
Yeah.
On a strong gun round.
Sova ultimate. And to run it back for retake on site here. All right. I think Shopify Rebellion has a pretty good handle on how Complexity is starting to play the game. This is why we're seeing this come back a little bit, especially their second round bye. But staying far back just as Complexity would to avoid the KO. They avoid the guiding light on the side of Shopify Rebellion and can go ahead and re-hit this. Great timing on Art, too. And they've faked out Complexity.
Yeah, Complexity's pivoting towards the B site. Overthinking, though, from Shopify Rebellion with the recon dart out towards the Art. Walking into the streets. Alarm bot close, about to get broken here. Still pushing through. Saunders alone now. So this is to engage back a split towards this A side and a nice little knife that hits at least 1 player there. Jazzykins on the off angle. Head-to-head against KP. Relay bolts out. 1v1 against Lori. Vulnerable was Lori, but still wins that kill. At full HP as Sabui gets the plant. Run it back, then comes through. A flash outside of the smoke. And a nice little 1-for-1. But that's a revive from the run it back. Advantage back for Complexity. A spray through towards Church. Sauter pushing and inching towards the flower pots to even up the tally. 3 versus 3 now. Flashbang. Underhand flash or overhand over the smoke. Tap on the spike. Nanoswarm being used.
Good util.
A little bit of a delay, head-to-head. Lori loses the fight against Raze. Now a full stick on the spike. You need the backup. Last one is out there, but it's being stuck. Trying to spray through the smoke. Lands the shot, but it's defused. The round still comes in for Complexity, and even on top of that, Flowerful dies.
Hard yakka. Standing in between us.
Oh my gosh, the defuse to the smoke. Just at the last moment. Complexity finds a way through there. They get KP in the beginning too, so there was no Hunter's Fury to have to worry about this round, which means Shopify has to push closer to this situation. They lose the members, they lose their weapons, still have a chance to get a buy-in. as this money is just going back and forth in a weird way. But Complexity is actually the one that is on the cusp of having bad economy. 4 or 5 members of Shopify Rebellion now. Looks like they are going to force themselves down this B side with Cosmic Divide. This should be a safe plant and setup for the site. Kara says no.
Northern Jazzykins towards that B link. So the wall's a little bit too deep. Still a lot of audio being able to be heard here by Jazzykins as the 2 anchors inside the site, both Kara and Jazzykins. KP trying to fight back with whatever she's got on a 4 versus 1. And Riv, we're 2 rounds away for Complexity to do the unthinkable.
I have so many questions.
Incredible. And at this point, seeing what Complexity's doing, yes, it's going to be an upset, but look out for Complexity. They still have rounds to prove here versus Shopify Rebellion, who has been in this situation, right? So nobody is counted out at this point in time, but oh my gosh. When this, going back to the round, when this Cosmic Divide went up, I kind of thought I was in the same mindset as you, as that was just before or just inside the site rather, not as deep as spawn. And they had a lot more cover, but Complexity was right there to receive the kills, receive the frags one after the other as they traded crossfires. And that's going to be a timeout for Shopify Rebellion.
As we're looking at the frag distribution here, those that you want really the unsung heroes, the one that has the experience under the pressure to be able to step up to the plate, and that's definitely KP and Jazzykins that have gone through these moments before. Again, looking back, looking back to what they did in Berlin on both of the rosters, being really undefeated throughout the whole game changes of C9 White is Jazzykins, KB, even moving into the grand finals at the championships in Berlin as well. Sonner falling behind too. This time in a different role, though. She's not playing a Neon. She's playing more of that KO initiation that KP was talking about that she wanted to use a little bit more. So you have to change the comp a little bit more for Shopify Rebellion here on this map. Had some sort of value at first, but Complexity seems to have a good read so far. And off this timeout, you can see Riv. It's a much lower buy that you have for Shopify Rebellion. It's time for them to stay cool, calm, and collected to try to play for the overtime.
So let's see what they're doing to get themselves back in this round, because they have to play it like a real gun round. They have to play it like these angles are going to be peaked for trades. Everybody's staying together, this little death squad moving forward. They're going to get detected at 1 minute-ish, and they're going to have to decide whether they're going to go or not. Because regaining control of the map on an eco is incredibly tough, and I don't know if they're going to be able to, or want to do that.
Warm butts deep. Early information, Malaysia's got pinged out. 2 players got pinged out too. But the flash will also slow down Shopify Rebellion on the push. Ray's playing the off angle. Swinging out for a second kill with the crossfire. Stolen by Claudia. Oh, but we answer back for Shopify.
Trades in, 2v2.
Jazzykins, though, makes it a 2 versus 1, but KP picked up a rifle, actually had it from the beginning of the round, but couldn't save it there. Jazzykins wins the duel, and Complexity are at series point.
You just mentioned which fraggers are good to be on top, and one that doesn't even feel the pressure rises to the occasion. Again, a 3K from Jazzykins. Left, right, left. Separating Shopify Rebellion in the A site after her team was able to help the situation. Game point, elimination point here for Shopify Rebellion. And you can see Complexity is feeling it. Loose in sight and ready to take this round. The Neon with an operator for Jazzy.
With the operator playing it towards that B site, no pressure coming out from Shopify, still looking for mid control. Same thing that happens here, though. Complexity could play it very passively with the utility they currently have from the Killjoy. Even an early Nanoswarm came out, forcing out an early Owl Drone. Oh, the op! Just got spotted. So
I don't think
Shopify
they want
will
that.
fall back. Nope.
They fall away.
I got the spike.
Complexity riding a high right now. They would love to complete and find DSG in the lower grand finals. Moving towards B, it looks like they are going to see if they can get away from this up, but they walk towards it. They may just challenge it.
Brings out a shot. Nice.
They're able
Now
to close
even
the
makes it
distance.
difficult for Jazzykins to fall back in, and even the recon dart's beautiful from KP. Just ping 2. Now their Hunter's Fury comes out, but the null command.
That's 2.
Blaze comes out for the kill. That spike down. 27 seconds left on the clock. Lockdown on the attack. Another kill comes down. Only 2 more needed here to do the unthinkable. Ray's now watching the flank behind the doorway. KP inside the side. Beautiful flash. An opportunity here to fight back. KP now moving forward with Sabui. Trying to do it a 2 versus 1. There's only 10 seconds left. The lockdown is up. 4 seconds left. It's over. Detained. Kara with the last
Defenders
kill.
win.
And Complexity write a new page in their history book. They move forward in the top 3 for the first time in Game Changers.
And to do it against a team with a pedigree like Shopify Rebellion. Incredible fight and heart from Complexity coming out, able to show the same amount of perseverance, almost the same score lines in our maps that we saw for the first 13-9, 13-9, but Shopify Rebellion found their win on the second map to push us to Pearl, to push us to this explosive finale for Complexity to bring the win home. And they did it in a fashion that you want to see from a top 3, from somebody moving on that still has to play a team like Disguised.
Explosive is definitely the name of the game that you saw there for Complexity on that third map, with the amount of bloods that they were able to get, the amount of space that they were able to get with Rays on that Phoenix. Yes, they tried to do a little bit here for Shopify Rebellion. Instead of playing that retake game, really wanted to fight back against them, but it was not enough here. Players really stepping up to the plate, IGL being Jazzykins, and also putting up kills in the frag department, which is something that she hasn't done too much throughout the previous matches of the Game Changers, but since yesterday has found a new lead. Since the birthday buff is a
IGL
whole new
Duelist.
player. IGL Duelist putting up the
Different.
numbers. But with that, enough of us. It's time to throw it back to the desk here with Mimi. Can break it down with the rest of the crew and have a Verizon Game Changers or a Verizon post-match interview here for Game Changers.
Thank you very much, Vansili. Yeah, a massive moment here for Complexity, Buck, and Sapphire. Thus far, this team, they've only ever placed 5th, 6th. They've always been hard stuck in that position. But Heather, here in GC2, they've made it to the top 3.
Oh, this is an incredible moment. We just made history today, and honestly, we thought, okay, already good for Complexity to be in top 4. They're already surpassing what they've done in the past, and now to see them playing for a chance in that grand finals, getting top 3, like this is what Lace, this is what Ali Lu have been building towards with this roster for so long. What an exciting moment for them.
We were talking about it coming into today, how important this series was for Lace specifically as a player, but obviously the entirety of the roster to find a big win here. Our top 3, only one team in there is a team that we would have picked starting out the event. We would have assumed that Shopify Rebellion would have been potentially playing in the grand finals against V1. Instead, they're eliminated early, and now DSG is waiting in the wings. I just never would have anticipated that both Complexity and DSG would be the teams that were making it to this point thus far, but credit where credit is due to both of them, and especially Complexity after a strong 3-map victory over Shopify Rebellion, having the resiliency to reset after losing map 2, narrowly mounting the comeback. 13-11, they were so close to closing it out 2-0, but they stick with the game plan to go to map 3, and they just crushed Shopify on map 3.
It's such incredible stuff from them. And Heather, on map 3 too, they come out and show that this team is continuing to innovate and bring out new stuff. They play such a unique comp on Pearl, and honestly, they dominate Shopify with it.
They did, yeah. It was really aggressive. I loved what they were doing with finding info with the sky flashes and then taking space with Raze's Phoenix. Like, just really good team play, good trading, and some uniqueness in the comps that, you know, really Shopify couldn't find an answer to.
One of the things I love about this composition is that it really seems like it's starting to click. If you look at some of the previous matches, Jazzy had a hard time getting into the game a little bit with some of their previous matches. Really only one positive performance going back to the qualifiers. This time around, Jazzy hits full stride. Everything's clicking, and I think a large part of that is just learning how to set up a Neon. We've talked about it already. The timing changes that come in with the Neon, it's so hard for your initiators to properly set things up for your duelist typically. And it can be very tricky to try and get things moving with a duelist like Neon, just because the tempo is so different than what you're used to. But here, everything clicked. This team has clearly been doing their homework with this composition. They've run it now, and I think this is their 5th official match in just this event alone. So clearly, it's all starting to come together, and that's why it started to work out so well for them.
And I think this is a really special moment, especially for Jazzy, who was on that Cloud9 roster that dominated for so long, and they split up, and Mel and Alexis got to continue dominating North America. Obviously, Katsumi and Bob had a really good Game Changers 1, and then Jazzy didn't know, so yeah, they still got, we're in the mix obviously, but this is a really special moment for Jazzy in particular. Like, such a young player, has such a bright future, and she's again going to be fighting for a chance in that grand finals.
That they will. An incredible run already here for Complexity that is not over yet. Shopify, though, that puts them in a really, really surprising position for this organization. It's the first time that they have ever failed to make it to a grand final block.
That is definitely disappointing for this team. Think about how their year ended last year. You look back at the event that Shopify competed in. They make it all the way to the finals, somewhat surprisingly, I might add. I don't think a lot of people had them picked as the team that would be playing at that point. Cloud9 White was definitely looked at as the team that would be playing there, but they're not. And then, they make it to a grand final where they go 5 maps, ultimately losing in a reverse sweep. But that point, whatever, that's not really the point. The point is their year ended on a pretty good note. So the anticipation coming into this year is that team is going to continue in that form and kind of just run it. NA Game Changers. First one, they lose to V1, but it was a close contested series. They lose 2 games, whatever. It is what it is. Moving into Game Changers Series 2, you're thinking, okay, they're going to come in reinvigorated. They're going to find their chance now. They're going to strike. But no, they drop out early. Definitely not the ending you anticipate for Shopify Rebellion. And hopefully they'll be able to turn things around, because this is certainly not the team we expected to see coming into this event.
It's heartbreak for Shopify, but it does show that the times are a change in here in Game Changers, and it's going to be so exciting to see these surprising teams in the top 3. That does do it for our second match of the day, and the last one for today, but you'll want to stick around because you still got our Verizon post-match interview, and before that, your Prime Gaming post-match highlights to take a peek at. Welcome back to the Verizon post-match interview here for the Verizon Game Changers NA Series 2. I'm joined by Jazzykins from Complexity, fresh off her win and freshly into the top 3. Jazzy, welcome and congratulations. First off, for you guys on COL, it has not been very long, only 6 months with this team, and you're already into the, you're already frozen. I don't know if you're with me. All right. I don't think she's here. Not very receptive to questions, so a little unfortunate there. Hopefully we'll be able to get Jazzy back in just a second here, but we're going to attempt to unfreeze her. It's pretty hot outside. Might be able to fix that one up pretty quickly, and we'll be back with Jazzy in hopefully just a minute. Hey, welcome back to attempt number 2 of the Verizon post-match interview. Hopefully this time, I actually have Complexity's Jazzykins joining me to talk us through that win. Fresh off of it, making your way already into the top 3. Jazzy, big congratulations. I wanted to start off by asking you, you've only been with Complexity for 6 months since the start of this year, and you guys have already found the best placement for Complexity as an organization thus far into the top 3. What does it mean to you and your team?
I think we're making very great improvement since last GC, especially. I think we placed like top 6?
6, I
top
think.
5, yeah. So I mean, coming from there to now, like I can see like huge improvements from the girls. And I don't know, it's been such a grind, like 8 hours a day. So I'm very proud of the girls, and like, you know, the grind is showing off. The improvement is showing off, so yeah.
Yeah, and you have good reason to be proud. For you yourself, too. We've heard in the interview from Lacey that you're also taking a bit of a different role in the team, stepping up and performing a lot more of the duties for IGL. What has it been like for you stepping into that role, especially as such a young player?
Yeah, I mean, I like challenges, and I think this is a very hard challenge, obviously. Duelist IGL is not very common, but I think it's working, so I mean, why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's been working thus far. In particular, now with that change, how do the roles work in the team? Is it almost all you IGLing, or is it kind of you and Lacey working together? Is she used to call for the team, or what's that system like now?
I think now, like, even during our SR game, like everyone was pitching in like pre-round, like I think we should like do this, do that, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm so down, like let's do it, you know? Like I'm really glad people are like stepping up and saying what they think we should do, and it's like working, you know? And that's something that we struggled with like last GC and like even like a couple weeks ago. So I'm very proud of like everyone on the team for stepping up.
It's good to see everyone pitching in. And another voice that I'm sure is adding to that conversation is Coach Joe, who you guys just signed ahead of this Game Changers too. Can you talk a little bit about what he's brought to the team and how maybe the team has changed since he joined your roster?
I think his ideas are super great, especially going to like our second tournament with him. But like his ideas are really great. His like anti-shredding is like phenomenal. And I think he brings a lot to the team, especially like micro mistakes. Like he shows micro mistakes that we make, even macro mistakes, and yeah.
Always good to have someone to help with that learning process. Tomorrow, you guys will be playing up against DSG in the lower final, the first best of 5 for you guys on Complexity as a team. What are your thoughts on DSG and that matchup tomorrow?
I think, I don't know. I feel like it's hard to say. I know they're also a very new team too, but I think we've had more practice together, way more time together. We put in like the work 8 hours a day, so I'm very confident that tomorrow we're going to take on probably a 2-0.
All right, 2-0 and a BO5. That's going to be very impressive.
Oh, it's a BO5. I thought it was a BO3. Sorry, my bad.
I might be wrong. I don't know. You're confident, and I think that's what matters here.
You know?
But in that one as well for you guys, the final question really is to just take this moment. Any fans, friends, family to thank?
Yeah, of course. I want to thank all the fans, you know, from, you know, supporting. I say this all the time, supporting me throughout my journey since, you know, 2-3 years ago. First, how my career started off to now, like the Magical fans, you know. It's been an insane journey, you know, for me being here now, like duelist IGL, who would have thought, right? So thank you to the fans for, you know, showing your support. And Lace, shout out to Lace. Honestly, shout out to my whole team. They improved a lot today, and I could see it. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jazzy, thank you so much. It's been really wonderful to see your progress as a player and Complexity as well. And best of luck tomorrow in the lower finals.
Thank you.
things. Well, we'll welcome back the analysts into the fold here, Bach and Sapphire. I mean, honestly, it's always good to hear from Jazzy. And I think just for her as a player, she's still so young, still honestly somewhat new to all of this from her time at Magical all the way to now. I think it's changed a ton as a player, Heather.
Oh yeah, I mean, what an epic career for being so young already, and it's really just getting started. You know, she said in an interview she did, she wants to be playing in those higher tiers, and she's certainly showing the potential to do it.
He absolutely is. But that does wrap things up for our second match of the day, and it leaves us with a little bit of housekeeping to do. And the first of which is going to be our Aim Lab flick of the day. And there was a lot of good moments today, but Buck, I think there's no surprise as to which one takes the cake.
I mean, this is like one of many ridiculous rounds coming in from Noya. The rounds that honestly probably shouldn't have happened. Just this absurd 2v5 ace clutch. The reality is, this round was one of many that Disguised probably could have won, but I think they still lose the series. I just don't think that these rounds had enough volume to them that they could have changed the outcome overall. Probably would have felt good for them to not have that happen, though. Noya just an absolute monster in the server, a clutch god. Like we talked about that team coming into it. It was Fluorescent who was really the one that we profiled, but Noya was the one that stepped up big when the team absolutely needed it. Fluorescent still played well, too, so that kind of illustrates just how scary good that version 1 team is.
They are terrifying indeed, and they're going to be waiting in that grand final already. But tomorrow, we're going to determine the second team making their way there. As we take a look at our bracket, we can see the run from our teams thus far as we land with DSG and Complexity facing off against one another. And Heather, I don't think anyone could have seen this matchup coming. Maybe you could have predicted COL there, but both these teams, really a surprising run thus far.
I want to know whose pick'em has these teams in the lower finals, because I don't think anyone has it. It doesn't seem possible. It's not the bracket we expected, but it's exciting. Like we've seen the same 2 teams over and over for years, and there's starting to be a change in the guard. So we've got a really, really exciting 2 matches coming up.
I think I know who has it. His name is Jonathan Riot. He wrote the script. And he knew that this was going to happen. Yeah, he actually created esports as well as Valorant, and he has a script to all of the Valorant events. I mean, seriously, it is a very different outcome than I think a lot of us would have expected. And it's not even just this match, looking at Shopify Rebellion being eliminated. It's not just DSG, it's the smaller pieces too, like Exet being eliminated in the first round. I don't think a lot of people thought that was going to happen. EG losing 2-0 to Complexity. Some of the results overall, the way the matches went. It's not just the results, but how they ended. FaZe losing 2-0, not even really seeming to put up too much of a fight against DSG. I thought maybe we would see a little bit more after they beat EG in that first round, sending them down into the lower bracket to begin with. There's just a lot of things that were different than I think a lot of us would have anticipated. The only thing that seems to be the constant is V1. V1, 2-0 across the board, all the way into the grand final, where they now await the winner of DSG and COL.
Death taxes and V1 being in grand finals. It's inevitable for them to make it that far. But for that lower final, for that final spot, before we do close out the day, I want to ask you guys, starting with Heather, who do you think is going to take that second spot and face V1 on Sunday?
Wow, it's a good question. I mean, I think DSG, we're still learning a lot about DSG, right? Again, it's a new team. They're surprising us every single match, but at the same time, Complexity, like we've seen the building blocks over the last couple of years, in fact, and it feels like they still have more in them. There's more gas in the tank. Dominant performance. It feels slightly Shopify, but slightly Complexity. I'm used to saying Shopify. Feels
force habit.
Yeah, exactly. But who knows? I think it's anyone's game at this point. We've seen so many different upsets, and I don't know. I'd lean Complexity if I had to pick one.
I am absolutely leaning Complexity, and it's not to say that DSG is a bad team, but there's 5 maps. It's a best of 5, and a team that's only been playing together for a short period of time, their map pool just isn't going to be that deep. We already saw some moments of weakness where they were trying to run set pieces, which I applaud DSG for trying to do, and they do run creative comps that is maybe a little bit different that could get them a leg up. The problem is, adding that much depth in that short a period of time is very difficult. If they were able to pull it off, it would be exceptional. I think that would actually be the most surprising upset of all because of the fact that they just don't have that much tenure together as a roster. I think Complexity is poised to make a run into the grand finals and maybe even take a map off V1. Maybe. We'll see what happens.
That's already talking about a lot, but it's going to be super exciting to see how that lower finals goes. Of course, it's starting up again tomorrow at the same time, 5 p.m. Eastern, a best out of 5 for that final slot in the finals. Thanks you folks so much for joining us today for the Valorant Game Changers Stage 2 NA presented by Verizon. It was an exciting match, and a big congratulations to Complexity on making it there, and to TSG as well for still being in the tournament and having a second shot. Make sure you do come back at that time tomorrow. And once again, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you then.
One enemy remaining.